Welcome to Sunshine Cathedral's Queer God Squad. It's Tuesday, March 5th, 2024. I am Reverend Dr. Darrell Watkins, the senior minister here at Sunshine Cathedral. Faith and religion can be complicated for the LGBTQ+ community. Surveys show that evangelical faith is the justification for the greatest attacks on the LGBTQ+ community.
I am Reverend Dr. Robert Griffin, the executive minister here at the Sunshine Cathedral. The Queer God Squad has gone to explore our religious community. Let's explore the big news of the day and what it means to you.
I am Reverend Kevin Tisdall, the Minister of Education at Sunshine Cathedral. This is live, and then we are available on demand. We are available on all smart televisions and your favorite social media.
At Sunshine Cathedral, we are here to tell you that you are God's miracle, not God's mistake.
This is the Sunshine Cathedral perspective. As it relates to faith, is it time for you as LGBTQ+ to, quote, stop being a victim, end quote? In a thought-provoking post on Reddit's GayChristian, one user reflected on the significance of the subreddit in fostering a sense of community and empowerment among LGBTQ+ individuals of faith. Drawing inspiration from a passage in the Travel Lightly, Downsize the Burdens You Carry, the user highlighted the transformative power of collective action and solidarity. The post resonated deeply with members of the subreddit who expressed admiration for its message of resilience and hope. One user described it as the, quote, the theme of our hearts, end quote, reflecting the shared sentiment of strength and determination within the community. The post underscored the importance of LGBTQ+ space in providing support, validation, and a sense of belonging for individuals navigating the intersections of their sexual orientation and faith. Rather than succumbing to victimhood, the community is united in its commitment to activism, advocacy, and fostering positive change for the intersection of queer and faith as is easy to blame. Our evangelical, the church community, and more. However, the LGBTQ+ individuals continue to come together, and they are reimagining their roles in society and shaping a future rooted in love, acceptance, and inclusivity. The post served as a powerful reminder of the resilience and agency inherent within the LGBT communities and spiritual journey. After all, a church like Sunshine Cathedral would have never been possible if we lived as victims. You know, we all have stuff in our closets, and from however it got there, we all have stuff to overcome. But I think at some point we find ways to not only coping, but find ways of overcoming those things that would hold us back and hold us down, that most of we end up blaming ourselves for. Without even any thought about, how it happened to us, about becoming the victim, we find ways to overcome and endure. So I think maybe it's time that we redefine what it means to no longer be a victim of our own circumstances or those that have been heaped upon us, and to find places that we can, if you will, the language, unburden ourselves to live a more positive, hopeful, and a progressive life, and be around people who give us support, and find those supporting communities that would not allow us to be the victims that we've so burdened down by.
The Apostle Paul says faith comes by hearing. And so if you think a lot of bad things about yourself, it's probably because you were told that. Parents, grandparents, teachers, church, politicians, whatever. You heard over and over in formative years something about yourself that was negative, ugly, and you bought it because you were defenseless at that time. You were just just an open box from the pour stuff in. But it works the other way too. Even though those were your formative and defenseless years, you can still hear enough good things to outweigh that. I've used an illustration so many times in sermons where I'll take a glass of soda and I'll pour a little bit of water in there. Almost no distinguishable difference at all. More water, more water, more. Well, after I pour about 7 or 8 times the amount of water as is the soda, it's just water in the glass. It took a lot more effort. It took a lot more water than there was soda to get rid of all the soda. But little by little, it can do. You pour more, you pour more, you pour more, you pour more. That's what happens when you hear good things over and over. You're pouring more, you're pouring more, you're pouring more, until it just flushes out all the icky stuff. Well, but to do that, you have to hear it consistently, because you heard the negative stuff consistently till it took hold. Now you have to hear the good stuff consistently till it takes hold. Communities like this are where you're going to hear it over and over and over again. You are God's miracle and not God's mistake. God is love. God's unconditional, inclusive love can't exclude you. It is in God that we live and move and have our being. There's not a spot where God is not. We can go to peace instead of to pieces. You hear this over and over and over, and it takes root. It takes hold. It flushes out all the icky soda. And finally, you just have good, clean, pure water again. And that's not just a religious view. That's an anthropological view. There is actually an anthropological study that says that the people who believe in spirits and gods and have these mystical, sacred encounters, people don't have that on their own very often. They have it in community. They practice it.
Yeah.
And now there's no judgment against that. They're saying, and it's good. People enjoy it. It helps. It empowers them. It brings healing to their life. Like, they're not telling you don't do it. They're just telling you if you want it, it's more likely going to happen if you do it over and over with other people, reinforcing it. People who experience spirits, gods, whatever, they're in communities where they hear that over and over again. So if you want to hear something about the sacred value of queer folks and the gifts that queer folks are to the world, there are places that are going to tell you. Show up, be part of it, week after week after week after week, and eventually all that yucky soda's all gone.
I came out in 1973. It was not long after the APA said that being queer was not a disorder. I went to a church that never talked about sexuality, yet still there was something in me that caused me to believe that I did not belong in a church, because I'd heard all of the stories about how faggots didn't belong in church. So it took me a long time to...
And you're an athlete. You probably heard a lot of stuff on the track team and basketball court. You probably heard some messages there, too.
If the team knew that I was queer, I would have been kicked out of the locker room. I would not have been allowed to shower with the rest of the team. And none of those sons of bitches turned me on, so they didn't need to worry. But for a lot of my adult life, I'm out, I'm queer, but I didn't believe, even though I'd never really heard it in my church, that I didn't belong in church. I heard it from my friends who had been thrown out of their churches because of who they are. Well, I found a church, finally, that said to me, we not only accept you, we know that you are just the way you are supposed to be. You are created by God to be the person that you are. So a lot of times the people in the subreddit group heard these things so often that they didn't know what to do with it. So I love that these groups exist where they can tell folk, no, girl. No, boy. No, child. You are where and who you are supposed to be. It is the world that has to catch up with you. So I love that there is subreddit. I love that there is a church, many churches now, but originally just a church like Sunshine Cathedral that says from minute one, when you walk through the door, welcome to God's house. Welcome to the place that you are supposed to be yourself. No change needed. And that's a message that a whole lot of folk need to hear as often as possible. I love the analogy about the soda becoming water because all of that nastiness was flushed out. Come home. We're ready for you.
Well, that's today with the Queer God Squad. We want to thank you for joining us. We're here daily at 3 p.m. to have some fun and to discuss what our LGBTQ plus community is talking about.
Sunshine Cathedral is the world's largest progressive queer church. Progressive, queer, and God are words that naturally should go together, and we are all in this together. Remember that.
You are God's miracle, not God's mistake. Until the next time, we are the Queer God Squad. Goodbye.